Otaru is a small port city on Hokkaido's coast that used to be more important than Sapporo, and honestly, it might be the most photogenic place on the entire island. You can get a lot wrong here, bad timing, missing the coastal drive, showing up when the canals swarmed with tour buses. So let's make sure you don't. I mapped out the full 3 days in an editable template, so if you want the route ready to go, the link's in the description. Otaru works in any season. February fills the canal with floating candles for the Snowlight Path Festival. Summer opens up the Shakotan Peninsula coastal trails, and autumn turns the hills behind town gold. Day 1 is the classic Otaru Portrait Canal, Merchant Street, and a building with 80,000 music boxes. Otaru Canal is the stone-walled waterway on every postcard of the city, a kilometer of converted brick warehouses lined with 63 gas lamps built in the 1920s to move herring and coal onto ships. Here's what makes it more than a photo op. Otaru was once Hokkaido's financial capital. Bigger deal than Sapporo, because fish money poured through this canal. The whole thing was nearly filled in for a road in the 70s and 80s. Citizens fought to preserve it, which is why it feels like a close call instead of a theme park. Walk the full length because the far end near the port is quieter and the stonework is just as good, then come back at dusk when the gas lamps click on. Right, parallel to the canal, is Sakaimachi, a stretch of original Meiji-era merchant buildings where Otaru's traders actually lived and worked in the late 1800s. These buildings survived because Otaru's economy crashed hard enough that nobody could afford to knock them down. Recessions make excellent preservationists. The main drag can feel like a tourist shopping street at peak hours, but the side alleys thin out fast and hold the smaller glass workshops that are actually worth your time. You'll smell warm glass from the kilns and hear music boxes chiming from shop fronts before you even see them. It's that kind of street. At the south end of Sakaimachi sits the Otaru Music Box Museum, a landmark stone building housing roughly 80,000 music boxes across multiple halls. The main hall is basically a very large gift shop, so push through to Hall 2, where the antique collection lives, including a century-old Aeolian pipe organ that is the real deal. The clock tower at the entrance performs on the hour and draws a selfie cluster every single time. Dozens of music boxes playing slightly different tunes at once is either enchanting or overwhelming depending on your tolerance for sustained plinking. I'll let you decide. Day 2 digs into why Otaru was once Hokkaido's industrial and financial engine glass workshops, a bank that could have been in Tokyo, and a gondola ride that ties it all together. Kitaichi Glass has been operating out of the same street since 1901, originally making petroleum lamps and glass floats for Hokkaido's fishing fleet. The reason you're here is Kitaichi Hall, a vast old warehouse where 167 oil lamps are hand-lit every single morning, and the whole room glows amber. Get there early, before 9 if you can, because you can watch the staff light the lamps and grab a cafe seat before it fills up. A company that built glass fishing floats because the herring trade demanded them now sells delicate ornaments to people who've never seen a herring life, comes at you fast. A few blocks away, the Bank of Japan Otaru Museum is a Renaissance-style stone building completed in 1912, designed by Kingo Tatsuno, the same architect behind Tokyo Station. That's how you know Otaru mattered. The Bank of Japan sent its star architect to build a palatial branch here because this port was Hokkaido's money center. They closed the branch in 2002, and now the building is a free museum about how important Otaru used to be, which is a very specific kind of exhibit. The banking hall is intact with heavy wooden counters and high ceilings, and there's a gold bar you can try to lift closed Mondays, so plan around that. After 2 days of walking flat streets, the Tenguyama ropeway gives you the aerial view that puts all of Otaru into perspective in about 4 minutes. The gondola takes you up Mount Teng, named after the long-nosed goblin from Japanese folklore, to a panorama of the city, the port, the Sea of Japan, and on clear days, the Shakotan Peninsula. Afternoon light is better on the city and sea below, because mornings can fog over off the water. The summit also has a ski museum documenting Otaru's surprisingly deep role in early Japanese skiing history, plus a tengu mascot situation you just kind of have to embrace. Day 3 leaves the city entirely for the Shakotan Peninsula dramatic sea cliffs, water so blue it has its own name, and a coast hidden behind a tunnel in a cliff. Cape Kamui is a roughly 770-meter trail along sea cliffs on the Shakotan Peninsula that ends at a lighthouse, and the water below is absurdly blue, a color people actually call Shakotan blue. Kamui means God in the Ainu language, and an Ainu legend says a chief's daughter cursed the cape after her lover abandoned her there. Women were forbidden from setting foot on it for centuries. The sign of the trailhead still mentions the ban no longer enforced, obviously, but it tells you this place carried real weight long before tourists showed up. You'll need a rental car because there's no public transit to the trailhead. Allow about 90 minutes of winding coastal road from Otaru and go morning when the winds are calmer. A short drive from Cape Kamui is the Shimamui Coast, where you walk through a narrow, low-ceiling tunnel carved into a cliffside and emerge onto an overlook with impossibly turquoise water below. The tunnel is part of the experience. It's genuinely dark, and then you step into full sunlight and that blue-green, and someone designed it this way on purpose. This stretch gets fewer people than Cape Kamui because you have to know it's there and walk the tunnel, but the payoff is the same water clarity from a completely different angle. Watch your head in the tunnel, wear real shoes, and the sea breeze doesn't care what month it is. Bring a wind layer. Back in Otaru, the old Temiya railway line is Hokkaido's first railway, opened in 1880 to haul coal to the port, now a flat, quiet walking path with stone walls and preserved track sections. For 105 years, this track moved the fuel that powered Hokkaido's entire development. Now it moves joggers and dog walkers, and it is the most peaceful stretch of ground in the city. It's noticeably quieter than the canal 2 blocks away, which is exactly why it works as the wind down after driving all day. Walk it at dusk, as a bookend the path loops you back toward the canal where this whole trip started. Otaru is a city that peaked a century ago and accidentally froze in time because of it, and that's exactly what makes it worth the trip. I put the full Otaru route with every stop and map view into a template you can edit for your own trip links in the description and pinned comment. Let me know which stop you'd add or skip in the comments. I read all of them.